We believe that we have in our possession the firearm that was fired by Mr. Baldwin. This is the firearm we believe discharged the bullet. We also believe that we have the spent shell casing from the bullet that was fired from the gun. The actual lead projectile that was fired has been recovered from the shoulder of Mr. Souza.
That's Santa Fe County Sheriff Dan Mendoza providing an update to the investigation into the fatal shooting on the set of the Alec Baldwin movie, Rust. It was on October 21st that cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed on the set of the film. Director Joel Souza was also shot but survived. When this news came out, I immediately reached out to a longtime friend. He's Kieran Crilly. He's a cinematographer and director, and he joins us on the line. Hi, Kieran. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Elias.
Listen, for everyone to know, Kieran, you're one of my best friends in life. I've known you now for like 25 years. So there's a reason why when I see this news, gut reaction, reach out to Kieran, find out what's going on. We wanted to get you on the show, and I know you're on the set filming something in Newfoundland right now. So, Kieran, when I sent you a note, okay, about the Alec Baldwin movie, you texted me back very quickly, and it was short, and I got the tone right away. You said, I hate having working guns on set. The question I have, Kieran, is why are they even there?
Well, for a long time, there was no other, photorealistic way to show guns shooting on camera. You just needed something that could mechanically move the way a gun moved, that could put the smoke and the muzzle flare out, and that had the sound. I mean, I guess sound we could have replaced a long time ago. But recently, there are companies that are making prop guns, actual prop guns, not what is being referred to in this story as a prop gun, but guns that you couldn't put a real bullet in, but that look really realistic. They produce the smoke, they have the action that a gun has, and we can add muzzle flare in post-production super, super easily now.
You just said prop gun, but in this, something that was called the prop gun, but it's not really a prop gun. What did you mean by that? Tell us more on that.
Sure. I mean, look, it's a bit of a gray terminology world, but what they're referring to as they put quotes around it and say prop gun. It's a real firearm. It clearly is able to be loaded and fired and can shoot a real bullet. When I talk about a prop, the reason we use the word prop is like to insinuate that this is a movie set prop, a thing that is not actually functional. So when someone says to me, oh, they fired a prop gun and they put it in quotation marks, it kind of clouds the whole question of what happened. And it's like, look, they had a gun, they used it on set as a prop, but clearly there was an oversight somewhere along the line of safety, and it's tragic what happened.
We're talking about the recent death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins with Kieran Crilly. He's a cinematographer and a director. So, Kieran, we talk about the prop guns, and we talk about the real guns that are on set. Even if you have a real gun, you need to have real bullets to create damage as well. So, what what happened here? Why is even live ammo on the set?
Well, it doesn't have to be real bullets. There's a whole range. There's like a whole world in this. That's why there are specialists called armorers on set to take care of these things, so that if, it's determined for whatever reason, okay, we're going to use real guns on set, there's a whole chain of authority that goes into controlling where those guns are. They're usually locked in boxes, and when they come out of the boxes, one person deals with them. And there's like half loads, quarter loads, different kinds of ammunition that you can put in even a real gun that are, safer than a bullet. The idea is you never shoot a bullet out of a gun. This gun had a bullet, an actual lead projectile in it, which is crazy.
Since October 21st, we have heard more and more stories coming out of this production, this movie Rust, where people that were working on the production walked out over concerns, over working conditions. In general, Kieran, I know we've had this discussion before about working conditions. Is there, are there things that for you set off the alarm bells on working conditions where you say, geez, a set is not safe?
Yeah. definitely. I mean, I've never, thankfully, been on a set where there were misfires on set. I mean, I've been reading the stories. Guns went off out of control twice before this happened. Those are huge warning flags. Those are like the alarms should have been going off all over the place. I am amazed that it took that long for people to walk off. But things happen on set all the time because of time pressure, because of financial cost pressure. There's a lot of talk about safety, but when it's 2:00 in the morning and everybody's worried about overtime and everybody's worried about, people's schedules and getting the shot done, sometimes a lot of that goes out the window and it's go, go, go.
The armorer from this film, from Rust, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, has broken some of her silence on this shooting incident, and she blames producers for what she calls unsafe conditions. Now, Kieran, I mentioned you're a cinematographer, director. You're also a producer. You're a producer of that film Boost, that wonderful film shot in Montreal. I've talked to our listeners about it many times, how great that is. And that was a film. I'm sure there was either props or real guns on set in that instance. So you hear blame towards producers. Tell me about the role of producers in these film sets with ensuring safety.
I mean, the buck stops with the producer. The producer's the boss. Like, that's the end of the story. There's other people in the chain that have real responsibility, the assistant director, the armorer, but at the end of the day, the producer is the one who says yes or no, and someone said yes to this scenario. And I've been a producer. It's the craziest kind of pressure. All your savings are on the line. The pressure is enormous. So my heart goes out to producers, but these guys somehow allowed this chain of events to happen, and they might be good people everyday lives, but in this scenario, they carry a lot of responsibility.
Off of the top, you mentioned how, it might not even be necessary anymore, right, with advances in technology and that kind of thing. In your estimation, what should be the rules when it comes to real guns, live ammo, being on film sets?
I think today, it's probably a blanket statement. I'm sure there are scenarios where people could say, well, that's not possible. But today, I want to be on a set. I don't want to have to worry that I'm going to get shot just for doing my job. And there are props out there that you can get or rent or buy that don't shoot real bullets, no matter how hard you try. And there's software that can add the muzzle flare in post, and we can add the bangs in post for sound. So, I just don't think there's any reasonable excuse for having actual guns on set.
Kieran, you're shooting a series right now. In the last 2 weeks, what are people in the last week? What are people saying on set? When you got the break in production and you're talking, what's the vibe from people in the industry right now?
People are heartbroken. On my set, we had a minute of silence the next day. We talked about it a lot. My social media feed is just filled with memorial statements and people asking for more safety on set, and for hoping for this to change. It comes in the midst of a whole bigger story about working conditions for technicians on set. There's the big IATSE union that covers all of us on set is going through negotiations right now with the big American studios. And one of the major points has been safety and trying to tighten up the working hours on set so that we're not doing 14, 15, 16-hour days with, very little sleep in between. And there's a lot that makes this into sort of a perfect storm of tragedy right now.
Kieran, I know I've picked your brain so many times over the years on film and TV and cinematography. It was great to have you on to talk on air about these issues, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
That's Kieran Crilly, cinematographer and director.